Welcome to Ask the Tech Coach, brought to you by the TeacherCast Educational Network. If you are in charge of professional development and looking to build an innovative digital learning experience, this is the podcast for you. Join us each week as we uncover strategies that tech coaches are using to drive their digital transformations one classroom at a time. And now for your host, with over 2 decades of experience working with tech coaches and ed tech companies from all around the world, Jeff Bradbury.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury. Thank you so much for joining us today and making TeacherCast your home of professional development. This is Ask the Tech Coach podcast, episode number 223. And today, we're going to be following up on the show we did last week, 222, where we talked all about funnels and using those large group professional development opportunities, those faculty meetings, those department meetings. How do you funnel that stuff down into the classroom? Today, we're going to be taking that a step farther and saying, what are the different things that you can say to entice a teacher? What are those pickup lines, if you will? So tech coach pickup lines, what are those things that we're going to be talking about today to really get us in? When you walk into that classroom, when you meet that teacher in the hallway, when you happen to stroll by them in the lunchroom, what are some of those things that we're doing to get ourselves into the classroom? I want to say thank you one more time for being a part of our TeacherCast Educational Network, our Instructional Coaches Network. I am so thrilled that in the last couple weeks, we have completely renovated, revigorized, and revamped, I think that's another great word, the entire Ask the Tech Coach website world. If you head on over to askthetechcoach.com today, you'll find a brand new homepage, brand new landing pages, brand new menu, brand new logo, brand new every single thing that we're doing. If you're looking for all of our coaching content, and we got hundreds of pieces of coaching content at this point between our blogs, our podcasts, our free giveaways, free templates, we have made it a lot easier for you to take, to consume, and I think most importantly, my friends, share with others. Of course, you can always head over to askthetechcoach.com, scroll down to the bottom, and join one of our 3 networks. We have a great group on Facebook, which is heading up to almost 1,200 coaches. We got a great group on LinkedIn, which is a couple hundred coaches at this point, a little bit more professional stuff. And I put the link up there for K12leaders.com. If you're a digital learning leader, tech director, anything like that, that's a great place for you guys too. So no matter what you're looking for in the world of instructional coaching, please make sure you head on over to askthetechcoach.com. I'm looking forward to having you guys over there and join us each week on our network. I'd love to have you guys. I took a moment last week and I put out something on not 1, not 2, but many instructional coaching Facebook pages. And you know what? I just asked the question, how do you get into classrooms? What are those things that you say? Do you walk up to a teacher and say, can I come in your room? Do you walk up to a teacher and say, can I show you something? Do you walk up to a teacher and say, trick or treat? Today, I have a fantastic guest who's kind of up for the challenge on this one. I reached out and said, what are some of your favorite pickup lines? And we just started talking, and I said, hey, why don't you come on the show today? And you know what? She said, yes, I want to bring on today Miss Renee Dawson. Renee, how are you today? Welcome to Ask the Tech Coach.
Hi, I'm awesome today. How are you?
I am so happy to have you on. Thank you so much for being here as a guest on the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a second-year tech coach, and I work under a grant for my school where I am the stuff the grant provides. So the grant provides Chromebooks with Wi-Fi to my students, and I get to train the teachers on all the wonderful ways to use them, support them in the classroom, and observe them using the technology integration matrix, and then perform some magical coaching work.
I love that. And, you know, if you are out there and you're grant funded, many of your programs are, it really comes down to 2 things. How much data can you show to prove that your program is working, but also how often are you in those classrooms? So tell us a little bit about your program, upper, lower, middle, like what kind of work do you do and who do you work with?
I'm in middle grades. So I have 6th through 8th grade where I am. And I not only do the coaching, but I also run the tech team and the Minecraft student ambassador. So it's for Verizon Innovative Learning Schools. And we're getting an innovation lab. So I'm the lab mentor for that project as well, which is really exciting.
I am so excited for you on that. Three of my schools in my district are also Ville schools.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing, I'm not part of that program. But I'm hearing all the great things that my coaches are doing. Tell us a little bit about your journey. Give us like the 30-second overview. What is Ville's? How does it work? How do you get involved?
Yeah, definitely.
Share with us.
So Verizon Innovative Learning is a grant it's an initiative through Verizon. They provide Chromebooks or iPads, depending on what your district chooses, for the students, for every student in your school. But the icing on the cake is that they also provide Wi-Fi access at home for the students, paid for by Verizon. So there's no more digital divide. There's no more that you have to leave this at school. You don't have it at home. It's actually helped some of our parents get jobs and go back to school to have the device and the Wi-Fi at home. So it's been huge for just our community in general. But Verizon also provides not just the stuff, but the people to help with the stuff. And that's my job. So I come in as the coach. I lead professional development on technology and other wonderful things. And I complete coaching cycles and observations on my teachers to prove that the initiative is working in our school.
This is an awesome topic. I'm assuming that you are the first coach in your building. Does that sound logical?
No, I was the third coach in my building.
Third coach. Okay.
First technology coach.
There you go. And, one of the things that has been coming up on the Facebook groups in our instructional coaching network and other Facebook groups too, is this concept of how do we get into our classrooms? What are those things that we say? If you're listening to this, you might fall into one of two categories. Either you are finishing your first coaching cycle, right? Because it's November now. You've done a couple meetings and maybe it's time for you to switch. You're been successful, but now you're trying to figure out that second wave, right? Like we did one project. How do I keep you on my calendar? Or you're in the other boat, which is I'm new, or I've been here for a while, but my teachers haven't yet woken up to the fact that I'm amazing and I can help you out. Here's my question for you, Renee. What advice, and we're just going to pop this question up on the top and we'll run from there.
Okay.
But what advice do you give to coaches when they're either struggling to get into classes or maybe they're trying to get that second level, get back into the classroom? What advice do you have for coaches? What has worked for you?
So one thing that I know from going from being a classroom teacher to being a coach is that teachers love free stuff. Anything free, a teacher's going to be down for. We love free stuff and you can't deny it because we do. So I like to start with like a scratch off card. I've made them by hand, like lottery scratch off cards. I've made them by hand with stuff I bought on Amazon, but now I make them digitally on Canva. And it has 3 options on there. One option is the most sought after option in my building. And that option is 10 minutes of a teacher brain break. So I come in and I take over your class for 10 minutes and you get to leave and go sit down and just relax. And that gets me in the room. It gets me to get to know the students. I get to feel out kind of what's going on in the classroom and just get ready to kind of come up with an idea to approach the teacher with on how we can partner or what I can bring into the classroom and do to help out or co-teach or model for them. So that's usually the first way I try to get in is by giving them a scratch off ticket at like the faculty meeting or a PD session. If they've done something or gone above and beyond, I try to give them that to entice them to let me in the classroom. So I usually have some swag from ed tech companies because they'll always send you stuff if you ask. So that's an option that they can scratch off, the 10-minute brain break. And then my other option is usually like, I'll take your class to dismissal or I'll take them to connections and pick them up from connections, which also gives the teacher an additional 10, 20 minutes. And they're just forever grateful that you're willing to give your time for that and put yourself in their room and in the teacher's shoes instead of just being the coach that walks around and doesn't have any duties or any children to watch. So it's worked well for me in my building.
I I want to back up for a second here because I think somebody just said something that I've never heard in the last 12 years of doing this. And I'm looking at a video right now of this concept. Maybe this is what you're doing. Maybe give me the concept of the scratch off card. I'm actually looking at a video right now on how to do scratch off card. But I mean, is there a scratch off, or this is just a glorified business card with a bunch of stuff on it? Like, or is there literally can you order these from Canva with like the scratchy stuff on it?
You can order them from Canva and buy the scratchy stickers on Amazon and put them over. But if you make it digital, I make it in Canva and then put it in Google Slides, and they can delete one of the 3 boxes over it. So like their own little scratch off, and they just get to pick a box to delete.
We are going to make sure that Renee gives us all of her templates, and she's going to put them under here on episode number 223. I just learned something, and that's why I love this podcast. I honestly blanked out of everything you just said in the last 5 minutes because I'm so like, I have to try this, and this is going to look really cool here. So
it's actually an idea from my friend Amanda Fox. She's great. She does a ton of Canva stuff.
Okay.
So she kind of came up with this idea, and I kind of took it and made it my own. But it's super useful. If you're not a Canva person and you're an old school person, you can get cards and scratch off stickers on Amazon for about $10 total. And you get like 300 stickers. So that's also an option if you want to go like more paper quarter, like old like lottery scratch off tickets. So you can buy those and just put your prizes underneath them, and then they can scratch off which one they want. And it just kind of gives them some excitement for the day.
Well, good night, everybody. I know what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the night. I'm going to be searching on Amazon for these fun things. No. I'll definitely make sure we put some links and stuff. This is awesome. Totally thank you for coming on the show tonight. Now,
yeah, of course.
I forgot we were recording here for a second. But anyway, there's a lot of good stuff that we're looking at here. One of the things that we did do is we actually put out a thing on all these Facebook groups going, what are some of your favorite pickup lines?
Yeah.
And we have a whole list. Like we actually are putting together like a blog post and a Canva thing and trying to make it all look nice for everybody to kind of put it up on their wall next to their desk so you can kind of keep these in mind. But let's just kind of go through a couple of these. Okay. I've got a list of like 20 here, but I love the concept of what can I take off your plate, right? Like that's the concept of, and you were kind of mentioning, can I take your kids for 20 minutes? Can I do this for you? Can I do that for you? And it's just, you never want to put yourself in a position of I'm your babysitter.
No,
right?
No.
But what can we do here, right? Like
time is free to an extent if you're in a building. So I'm not spending a ton of money of my own personal money or asking the principal for money from her incentives budget. I'm giving some time that I have in my day. It might be some time that I was going to use for something else, but it's to benefit my teachers. When you're in the classroom, if somebody came in and said, go take a break, sit down and get some water, like you probably would have jumped at the opportunity.
One of the other things I like here is what's on your mind. Right. Mm-hmm. And that for me, that's a weird one. Like if I see a teacher in the room and I happen to walk in, like I don't want to, hey, Renee, what's on your mind? But I get the concepts because sometimes we are talking to teachers and you could tell like, the fire hydrant, like there's a lot of stuff hitting them from all around. And you're just like, stop, pause, what's going on? What are you thinking? And then you can go into how can I help you?
Right. Yeah. You kind of have to feel them out because post-pandemic, we've put even more on teachers than was on them before, I feel like. And I definitely know that my teachers feel that way. So I'm not coming in trying to put more on them or put more on their plate or take up more space in their brain. I'm trying to lighten the load by introducing some technology and making your life a little easier. So how can I help you with that?
One of the other ones here I like is, either what information do you need? You might find a teacher that's, I have to do this. And you're like, look, I'll be your researcher. Right. We did a show like a year and a half, maybe even 2 years ago from the Coaching Matters series of all of the different things, like the 10 things that a coach needs to be for their building. And one of them is a research buddy, right? Because these teachers might love you if you can send them a few links, send them a few templates, send them like, oh, you're doing this in science. I got something that covers that. And they don't realize you're going out to the library.
Right. I like asking my teachers what I can spice up in their lessons for them. What's one area of your lesson I could spice up with a quizzes or a Nearpod or something? What could I just add some flair to for you, just to take that off your plate so that you're not working on it on Saturday? I probably already have it made from when I taught. So what can I give you that's just going to make the kids go, wow, this is so cool, that will get you to want to work with me more in coaching and learn more tech skills?
And the follow-up to that is, what information do you need?
Right.
It's what can I get for you? What you need? I like the concept here of what part can I play? There's a lot of teachers that are doing many, many things. And on one hand, you can say, how can I take something off your plate? On the other hand, you can say, what part in this process can I play? We're doing fourth grade right now. We're doing the regions projects. Great. Well, what part can I play? Can I build something for you? Can I co-teach it with you? Can I create the Google slide template? Can I, you kind of feel like Doug the puppy from the movie Up, right? But what can I do to support this project, right? Because it's hard sometimes, Renee, to say, can I co-teach with you? Like that might not work yet. They might not understand the concept of what or how, or right, because ultimately every interaction with the teacher has to function as an introduction to the next interaction with the teacher.
Exactly.
Right? So how can I do this? Renee, can I make a slide deck for you? I'm hoping that Renee then says, how'd you do that?
Right.
Show me how to do that. Can you, or could you add, this is my favorite one, could you add this to the slide deck? And that's when I just open up with, sure, let's sit down and you can show me what you're looking for.
Right, exactly.
And then, well, now I got you. Now we can sit down and I can say, oh, you can add that. This is easy.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the different technologies available for free, even the sky's the limit with what you can add to a slide deck or where you can take it to make it more engaging. And for me, when my teachers see the student engagement increase in the classroom, that's what hooks them. It makes them want more. Okay, the kids, were there, or we did a Minecraft lesson and they came to class all week. We had 100% attendance. So how can I do more of this to get the kids coming to school? So things like that really have helped hook my teachers and make them realize maybe she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Being that it's in November, I tend to walk into classrooms and I just start looking around. And depending on how I feel out the teacher, how the conversation's going, and sometimes these are in the mornings, right? And I always find when I'm in the mornings, I never talk coaching. These are all relationship building things. Mm-hmm. But that's when I start asking questions like, is there anything I can help you organize? It's not a coaching question, right? But can I come over and help you with your books? Can I come over and help you with your this? I never start with, Renee, can I invade your Google Drive and make it colorful? Like, right. We're not there yet, but hey, can I tidy up your books for a second? Because if I'm in your room doing something, we're going to have a conversation, right? So, right. Hey, how are your kids? What's stressing you out? What things are you working on? What's working for you? I don't know if you've tried that one, but that's one of my, hey, what do you love about your kids this year? And then right. You'll see them either light up or frown.
I also like asking, when I get into those conversations with teachers, do you just want to vent, or do you want me to come back with a response? Like, do you just want me to listen and absorb and hear you out? Or would you like me to give you some constructive feedback to offer a solution so that I know how to approach this conversation with them? Because sometimes they just want to vent. They just need to get it out, and they don't necessarily want a solution. They just want to be heard. So if I know that, then that kind of helps me understand where this conversation is going, and then what I can come back with at a later time in a calmer moment, in a more clear head moment, to kind of offer as support for them.
I'm so glad that you said that. And I'm so glad that you said that, because you mentioned you're in your second year. Let me, full disclosure, Renee and I met really 5 minutes before we hit the record button. So were you a coach in this school before Vils hit you?
No, I was a special education teacher on the opposite end of the district.
So that's amazing that I think that you said that, because in order to get those you got to trust and have some kind of rapport with these people to have that. So that's really cool that in his second year, these conversations are happening in classes. It's really neat for that. I mean, I know teachers that have been around for 4 or 5 years. I might not feel as comfortable to ask some of these questions, things like, what are your goals? What's taking up your time? I mean, depending on how comfortable somebody is with instructional coaching, how comfortable somebody is with digital learning tools, you might actually take a year to just hit the surface. And, maybe that teacher is on a 4-year plan with you, whereas some teachers are on a 4-week plan for you.
Right.
Maybe a coaching cycle is going to last you half a year because they got to trust you a little bit.
Yeah. My coaching cycles usually do last at least half a year. Because I do get to know them. And I find that's really important, just building that relationship, that trust, so that they trust me in their classroom. They trust me with their students. And they open up to me. So I know kind of how to address things and plan for what's going to come in that coaching cycle. And it's been successful for me so far. So I'm doing something right.
I want to dive back into Vills for a second, because from what I understand about the program, I mean, it's a program designed with a set of rules. There's a rubric. Ultimately, your building, your leader, your department, however, needs to at some point say to your staff, Renee is here. This is what we're expecting from her, from the program, from you, from the tools. So, I mean, do your teachers know that you're, and I'm going to say this word lightly, mandatory, optional? Like, how does all that work? Because if you're mandatory, because of the TIM tool, because of Vills, because these pickup lines might work. They might be turning people off. They might not work. You might not need them. You might be just like, hey, Renee, next Monday is your time. I'll be in. See you later. And you might not need to do these pickup lines because you're on a schedule for checking people out and stuff. How does it work in your school to get into classrooms? With and without Vills, I guess, behind you.
Okay. So I am mandatory. There was a little confusion last year as to what my main role was. Was it fixing Chromebooks or was it coaching? So once we kind of cleared that up and they realized that I was there for more of a coach position and not so much an IT specialist position, that really helped. My administration also helps because everybody on the leadership team, which includes me, has to do a certain number of observations a week. So the teachers know that we're coming in. They know that we're going to show up and we're going to be in their classroom unannounced. So they're not surprised when we walk in. As a former special education teacher, I co-taught for years. So I'm used to just walking into a classroom and standing there. So unfortunately, but I'm comfortable going into their classrooms. I just kind of always say, I'm just going to watch what you're doing. They usually panic if the technology is not perfect, but I try to tell them not to because it's never going to be perfect. I also have a little postcard that I leave them when I go that has my QR code to my Calendly for them to schedule their post-observation meeting with me. And then we take it from there. I have to coach a certain number of people through the initiative. And I also have a teacher leader corps, so I can have them help me with that. So it's nice. I mean, I have some things that are mandatory and some things that I've made mandatory on myself, just to make the initiative work in my building.
How many teachers do you have in your building that you're responsible for?
60.
That's a good number.
Yeah, I have to observe 80% of them twice a year on the TIM.
What does that mean for those who aren't familiar?
So the technology integration matrix is an observation matrix that kind of helps you realize or see where teachers are on their technology journey. And it's interesting because unlike SAMR, the TIM's more fluid. So at the beginning of a unit with the TIM, you might be in adoption, but then if I come in a week later, they might be more towards transformation. So you fluctuate on it like you would on any matrix. And the tool that we use is actually awesome because they have a questions-based rubric that you can go through and just answer questions. Are the students using technology? Who's making the choice about what technology is being used? What kind of technology are they using? Are they collaborating with people outside of the classroom? So you go through and you just answer yes or no to these questions. and it pops out a beautiful little chart for you at the end.
And it just sounds so easy.
It is. It's so easy. It takes about 10 minutes to observe, 10, 15 minutes to answer the questions. And I really like it because it does give a clear picture of what's going on and where everybody is and where your room is for improvement.
If you have any questions about getting into classrooms, we're calling on pickup lines here. If you need support, all right, if you're out there going, this is the right topic for me at the right time of year, I would love to hear from you. You would, of course, be more than happy to join our Instructional Coaches Network. Head on over to askthetechcoach.com, scroll down to the bottom, join one of our groups. They're all free, tons and tons of resources, adding more all the time. And of course, if you sign up for our newsletter, you not only get the support there, you get our weekly newsletters. We are out here to help you, and we are here to support you. And just like Renee, I want to have you share your stories if you're interested. What are things that you're successful with? What are things that you're looking for support with? We are here on Ask the Tech Coach and the Instructional Coaches Network to support you. Renee, I want to end with a couple of things here, just kind of on the top of my mind. This is your second year as a coach.
Second year, yes.
What did you learn last year that you're bringing into this year? Or I'll even ask it this way of, what have you improved upon this year in your own mind, in your own self-reflections? What are some of the things that you might be doing differently based off of last year?
Following a schedule, like sticking to my routine and following it. Last year, I kind of got stuck in the weeds of dealing with broken devices and just kind of absorbing all of that. Like somebody asked me once last year to fix their Keurig because they thought that was my job, but just kind of sticking to my routine and my schedule. And I have like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 list that I do every day. I have to do 5 observations, 4, reach out to teachers to like get them to sign up for coaching, 3, entries into my data log for the district that we have to keep. So I have like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm happy to share that with you as well for the site that I just go through every day, and I have to do it, and I just make myself do it every day. So it's been huge for me this year, just taking the time to really focus my craft and focus myself in doing what I'm supposed to be doing all day long, and not just letting the mess of Chromebooks overwhelm me. If I can't fix it that day, I'll get to it. I have an hour a day that I work on Chromebooks. Other than that, I'm a coach. And I stick to that.
I want to deep dive into that for a second, because many people might be listening to this going, okay, but how? So let me throw a couple of questions at you here.
Okay, yeah.
And some of these might be your choice and some of these might be district choices, but let's just kind of, the who was Renee deep dive. Calendaring. Google, Microsoft, booking calendar? Give me what does the calendar process? How do people find you? What do you use to organize yourself?
So I organize myself with Outlook, just because that's what we have Outlook for our district. So it's just easier to put everything on my Outlook calendar, but I use a MacBook, so it also goes into my iOS calendar. And then I use Calendly for my booking. And my principal pays for the subscription for me. It's only like $10 a month, but she's nice enough to do that. And my teachers love it because it's easy for them to just pull up my coaching menu, click on what they want. It takes them directly to that Calendly spot. I actually have in my email signature, it's called a WIN, what I need wakelet. And it's a wakelet that just has my coaching menu, my schedule, the device repair form that they have to fill out, my feedback form that the district asks people to fill out for me. And then any other information they might need to know about me is on there. And that's just, it keeps it all in one place for them to find it. So that's been really helpful for me to have that wakelet to just share out easily with everything on there.
To-dos. How do you organize? What do you use to keep things in? Google Keep, Microsoft To Do. How do you remember everything? I'm
a total Canvaholic. So I made a desktop picture, I guess, on Canva, and it has a to-do list on there. Like it has doing, done, to do. And I put stickies on my desktop, like virtual stickies, and make lists on there. And I just kind of keep that as my desktop background. So I see everything every time I close out a tab, it's right there in front of me. But I have used Keep before. I like it, but I like having everything just like in my face as soon as I lower a tab.
We are going to have a ton of links from you on this,
Yes.
please. I like that answer. That I wasn't prepared for that. That was a really good one. So I'm curious about this next one. Digital communication, right? Are you always in your inbox? Are you sending inbox emails out to somewhere else? How do you make sure that you're keeping in touch with everybody? And especially from the Bill's answer, when?
When I have my phone on me constantly, so I'm constantly texting, or the teachers all have my number. That was a personal choice for me. I felt like it was appropriate for them to have my number, so they'll text me if they need something. I can text them if I need something. They don't abuse the privilege, which is nice, but that's kind of a personal choice that you have to make based on your staff. We also use GroupMe at my school, so I will send them a message on GroupMe if I need to, or put it in the larger faculty GroupMe, and then just email back and forth works. Like, I love Calendly because if they need me, they can just book right then on my Calendly, and it puts it on my calendar. So I'm not going back and forth like, oh, does Wednesday at 2 work? No, Wednesday at 2 doesn't work, but Thursday at 3 works. Just easy. Just put it on my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. It's kind of my motto.
How do you stay organized? Do you use things like bookmarks? Do you create a website for yourself? What do you create your websites in? Give me all that personal organization stuff.
So I use Wakelet a lot. I'm a big fan of Wakelet. I make a Wakelet for everything I have to give my staff. If I do professional learning, we have a professional learning Wakelet that has columns, and then every technology we go through, I put all the resources under the column so they can go to one place to find all of it. I also made a resource hub. It went viral on Twitter when I made it. It was an idea from somebody else, but I included the templates, so it got shared a bunch. And that has different departments and different things that we need in the building. And it's more of a broad resource group for all the teachers, and they can find anything they need on there. And I manage that for them. But as far as myself staying organized, I'm a big written to-do list person also. Like, I have my to-do list and stuff on my computer, but I have because it says Control the Chaos, and it's just a to-do list book that I got on Amazon, and I write my to-do list every day, and I just kind of go through and check things off as well. So I organize in a bunch of different ways. It's organized chaos.
When you're looking for coaching resources, coaching inspiration, podcasts, just curious, who do you read? Who do you listen to? Where's your go-to? Give me some of the, what's on the top of your research list?
I'm a big fan of Gold EDU. I do a lot of stuff. I read a lot of stuff in there. I'm a member of their Google group, so I'm always in there answering emails or providing examples or helping out however I can. I met Matt Rhodes through the group on Facebook, and I follow him a lot. I'm big in the Twitterverse, so I follow a ton of coaches on Twitter, and I love just seeing their ideas and sharing them or making them my own and kind of going in that direction. So there's just so many different coaches I follow. I don't even know how I could narrow it down, but I'm a bit Twitter is my go-to for inspiration usually.
Nice. Renee, I got to tell you, I know after this show, we're going to be getting emails from people saying, please bring her back on. And you are welcome to come on anytime. I know you're going to be spending probably the rest of your night just sending me a bunch of links, and that's totally okay. All of the links and stuff for this show are going to be over on our website at episode number 223. Renee, we can continue all of this stuff, but I think kind of in closing, there isn't really a right or a wrong answer for getting into classes. It's whatever works for you and whatever works for your teachers.
Right.
Whatever's in the moment, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. Just kind of go with the flow. I always say that, if you have to just walk in. They're not going to kick you out. I've never had a teacher tell me to leave. So, I would always say a smile goes a really long way. And as long as you walk in with a smile and they know your intentions are true in there and good, that you're not going to come down hard on them for anything. I always remind my teachers, my observation has nothing to do with your annual review. So don't stress out about that. You're not going to be on a professional development plan because your box light didn't work on Tuesday. So like, don't stress. But because there are days that things don't work, and there are days that you have to hand out paper, and there are days that you have to organize the students. And I get that. I was a teacher. I was in the classroom. So I think just kind of reminding them that you've been in the classroom and not being afraid to jump back in to help them out is huge for me.
I'm going to leave it at that. I think that's a great way to close, and certainly would love to have you back on. But between now and then, where can we learn more about you and share some of those social links?
I am always on Twitter, and it's at APSITS Dawson. It's actually part of our job to tweet a certain number of times a week to tell our story. The director of instructional technology will pull up our Twitter in front of the superintendent when she's asked like what impact we're having in the district and show off what we're doing. So I tend to put everything on Twitter.
Wow, that is that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and if you're in Georgia, I'll be at Georgia ETC the rest of the week, so you can find me there.
I won't be, but great. How awesome is this episode? Thank you so much for coming on. Please invite yourself back on. And if you ever want to meet Renee, invite yourself onto the show too, and we'll have a group podcast here. Renee, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And I hope you had enjoyed this episode. If you do, hit that like button, subscribe button, share this with everybody, and find Renee and tweet her. Let her know that she's out there and that she had her episode listened to. We would love to have you guys be a part of the TeacherCast Instructional Coaches Network, and would love to have you guys be a part of Ask the Tech Coach. Head on over to AskTheTechCoach.com, scroll down to the bottom, join our Instructional Coaches Networks today. We would love to have you there. And this wraps up this episode of Ask the Tech Coach, episode number 223, talking about our tech coaches pickup lines. I hope you guys found this informational. On behalf of Renee and everybody here in the TeacherCast Educational Network, my name is Jeff Bradbury, reminding you guys to keep up the great work in your classrooms and continue sharing your passions with your students.
You've been listening to Ask the Tech Coach, hosted by Jeff Bradbury of the TeacherCast Educational Network. Please reach out to the show with all of your questions on Twitter at AskTheTechCoach or online at www.askthetechcoach.com. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And please take a moment to write a review in the App Store.